Good afternoon, students. Today topic is about the testing of circuit breaker. Okay, so in the previous lecture, so we have discussed about the different types of the circuit breaker. That is the air blast circuit breaker, vacuum circuit breaker, SF6 circuit breaker. Okay, so if you are using as a circuit breaker in the field, okay, so before placing in the circuit breaker in the field, okay, so we have to perform the some test. Okay, so either working or not. Okay, so is the characteristics are good or bad? Okay, so is there any fault? Okay, is there any missed functional in the circuit breaker? Okay, that we have to check. So based upon the we having the different types of test to be done on the circuit breaker, okay, while you put it in the operation. So here, so what is a necessity? So necessity of the testing of the circuit breaker. So should be in the it should be in the because the circuit breaker is capable making and breaking the circuit. So making and breaking the capacity, that is it will break the circuit under the fault condition. Okay, it will make the circuit under normal conditions. Okay, so here if the it will be withstands the different types of the voltages, right? So if the any transient voltages comes or any over voltages, short circuits again, so they have to withstand. That is whenever the lightning arrest or lightning and thunderstorms the fault on the line. Okay, what you have to, so it have to withstand that much of the voltage or the fault current which is the higher than the predetermined value. Okay, so for that one we have to test is it the capable or not. And other is the performance of circuit breaker under normal and abnormal condition. Okay, can be how to verify. So it by the different test. So the main purpose of the testing is the circuit breaker to confirm the circuit breaker is it to work on the particular voltage or the current rating or not. Okay, so we have to test the circuit breaker to know the, so is it the capable or doing the work or not. That is, so it can be capable of the withstand the voltage or fault current or not. So here the types of test to be done on the circuit breaker. Okay, so there are the two mainly test will be done. So first is a routine test. Okay, so another is the first step. So direct test, indirect test will also there. So first we'll have the routine test. So the purpose test is to prove the design features and quality of the circuit breaker. Okay, so routine test is that is mainly doing the half yearly, quarterly, yearly maintenance. Okay, so sometimes the if the vacuum circuit breaker or oil circuit breaker, so they will be done on the monthly basis, half yearly, quarterly, or yearly maintenance. Okay, so the types of test are, okay, types are not conducted on each circuit breaker. So this will be done and prove the capable to and confirm the rated characteristics of the circuit breaker. So is it the capable or not? Okay, that will be done. So here in the routine test, so routine test is the perform the, okay, so it will be performed before the circuit breaker dispatch and show the product. Okay, so this will be done. So this give the result of the defect. So is there any uh, defect in the material or not? Okay, that will be done on this type of test. So making the circuit, breaking the circuit sometimes will appear, right? So short circuit testing, okay, routine test. So normal test as types, okay, direct testing, indirect testing methods are there also there. Okay, so here this routine test, so it will be done perform the circuit. So dispatch, that is if you placing the circuit breaker in the network. Okay, so before placing that, so this test will be done. Two is that, is there any material is a, if the performing doing or not. Okay, so all materials are connected correct, so all devices are connected perfectly or not. Okay, that will be checked by the quality maintenance. So here the types of the test. Okay, so we have the different types of test, that is the, in the routine type test, that is the mechanical endurance test, thermal test, dielectrical test, measurement of resistance of the main circuit or the short circuit. Okay, so these will be tested done on the, in the circuit breaker. Okay, so that's a mechanical endurance, so is mechanically capable or not, if any short circuit current will appear, so is it capable, so then okay. So if the current, okay, so the line current and the bus bar conductor, if the increases the 10 times or 20 times of the given value, so what happens, so is it have to withstand, okay, it have to withstand that voltage, then only it will be capable. So if the current if the increases, what will happen, the line voltage, okay, so line, whatever the line is, the bus bar, so it will be heat. Okay, the heat generate also, the due to the heat, the thermal effect will be, the more amount of losses will take. So we have to check, so is it the capable of the, that much of heat or not. Next is the dielectric. So the dielectric test will be done on the circuit breaker. So if the dielectrical strength of the material, if they varies, okay, so how much dielectrical strength it will be withstand. So if the fault current increases up to predetermined value or the 10 times of the value, so is it withstand or not. Okay, so the arc quenching will be done or not. Okay, that will be done in the dielectrical test. So next is the measurement of the resistance of the main circuit and short circuit test. So in the short circuit test also we have the different types. So here, so first we'll in this the mechanical endurance test. So what we'll do, so the circuit breaker is open and closed, so 500 times, so that will be done the mechanical test. So is the contacts, okay, so contacts is the working or not, that we have to check. So that will die. So what we do, so in the in this test, okay, the circuit breaker open and close, so in the 500 times or other values agreed between the purchaser and supplier, so here the seller and taker. Okay, so purchaser and supplier, the tests are carried out with the current through the main circuit of the circuit breaker. Okay, so out of the total number of tests, so 10% should be closed open operation. Okay, so that will be the tripping mechanism energized by the closing of the main contact. So here in the this test, so occasional lubrication, that is the lubrication will done in between the contacts. Okay, but no mechanical adjustments are possible, because if the lubrication is loses, what will happen, there will no contacts will be loose, right. Mechanical contacts in between the moving contacts, fixed contacts in between them. Okay, so the lubrication will be changed. Okay, so after this test, all parts including the contacts should be the good condition. Okay, there should be no permanent distortion under wear of the parts. Okay, that will be done in the mechanical endurance test. So next is test is about the thermal test. So here in the thermal test, the maximum normal current, that is we are which talk about that. So it determines the maximum normal current that will be circuit breaker can carry without exceeding the maximum allowable temperature rise. Okay. So if the current flow, so there will be temperature increase, right? So it can withstand or not. Okay, so whatever the exceed and maximum value, so it will be with standard now, that will be done. So in this test, rated normal current of the normal frequency is passed through the current carrying parts of the circuit breaker. Okay, so method recognized by Indian standards, that's the IS standards for measuring the temperature rise of the parts. Okay, so thermometer method, thermocouple method, self resistance method. So in three types that will be test will be done. So next is the short circuit test. Okay, so that is all the first in having the short circuit having the breaking capacity, so that will be done in the short circuit test. So the breaking capacity, so either none or not. Okay, so sequence operates of this so master circuit breaker, okay, and the breaker under test are proved. So first we'll do the in the short circuit. So first master circuit breaker and breaker, okay, under test are closed. Okay, the short circuit current passed close passed through the closing the make the switch. Okay, the short circuit, the circuit breaker under this test. So circuit breaker under this test is open, interrupt the short circuit current at the desired amount. So that will be the that is how much current it will be flows through the that. Okay, it will be break the circuit or not. Okay, that will be known in this type of short circuit test. So here another the following measurements are related to the braking capacity. Okay, so how it will be breaks. So that will be in the moving contact open. So this much of voltage only, this much of the current only. So when the signal get from the CT and PTs, the signal given to the relays, then relay coil, so due to the variation that the contacts will be open that okay, so at that time so it will work or not. Okay, so how much current can withstand? So fault current is if closely increases, so it is above the predetermined value of the fault current, so is it can withstand or not. So here the that will be done the okay, so during this test, so the asymmetrical, okay, symmetrical current breaking current, asymmetrical breaking current, and amplitude, so that will be done on the breaking capacity of the performance. Okay, so next is the RR wave. Okay, so rate of rise of restricting voltage, so that will be taken in the symmetrical fault current, how much current will gain part. Okay, so asymmetrical fault if occur, so how that will be withstand or not. Okay, so the amplitude that is the highest rating course of the current. Okay, so it can stand or not, that will be done. So next is about the making capacity, that is a breaking capacity, which is to open the circuit. So making capacity means the making the circuit after the fault clear. So here sequential performance of this test. Okay, so this is the sequential performance of this test. Is the first of all the master circuit breaker. Okay, so that will be two circuit breaker series. So one is the master, another is the testing, that is making switch. Okay, so here the first of all the master circuit breaker and the make this switch are closed. Okay, so first we'll if we are done on this test of the one circuit breaker, so another circuit breaker will be the protection. Okay, so for the protection of the equipment, so another circuit breaker will for that one. So here then the short circuit current initiated the closing the circuit breaker. Then we make the fault. Okay, so in next then we'll make the fault, so then current will be flows through that. So the rated circuit current making the circuit, okay, the rated short circuit making current, that will peak value of the first major loop short circuit. Okay, so develop the measure the oscillogram. So that will be the equipment oscillogram that will be used. How much is the current will be flow through the in the line. So it can be amplitude value. Okay, so how much frequency is there? Is there any variation in the frequency? The amplitude is ever changing. That is then the transient nature or the right in nature. So continuous discrimination that will be test. So here the short circuit test the rated time. Okay, so rated short time with this time the current is the applied circuit breaker. Okay, under the test specified duration, so how much current will they. Okay, so specified duration of the time. Okay, the rated short circuit with this stand current is equal to the rated short circuit breaking. Okay, so for a second, so that will be 3 seconds or 4 seconds, the fault current will be flows through the line. Okay, so one is the testing circuit breaker and is the main circuit breaker, so that will be closed, then will we go to the current short circuit current will flow through the line. Okay, then test the variations in the testing circuit breaker that will be tested. So the current is measured by taking oscillograph or the short circuit of the current one. So that will be tested, that is a transient nature. Okay, so it can withstand or not. Okay, so after this, so there should be the no mechanical insulation damage. Okay, so if the test, that is due to the short circuit, what will happen? So highest current will be flows through this in this type of the short circuit test. So at that time there is no mechanical and insulation damage will have not to done. Okay, if it done, so there will be failure of test. If not done, so there will be success that. So here the routine test. So in the routine test, so first one is a mechanical operational test. So another is the 1 minute frequent power frequency test. Okay, so voltage drive withstand test, that is another method. So measurement of resistance of the main circuit. So these are the three routine tests will be done on the circuit breaker, the frequent operation. So first if we take the measurement of the resistance, okay, of the main circuit. So this will be 10 of the before the temperature rise. So if the current volt current will flow, so that the temperature will increase in the line, right? So at the time the resistance, okay, so measurement resistance done by the DC voltage drop or resistance drop across these terminals. Okay, that will test on the resistance across each pole of the circuit breaker. Okay, the current during this test will having the convenient value between the 100 amperes. Okay, so that value is the 100 amperes. So then the rated current, okay, so and the rated current the circuit breaker. Okay, so and the DC resistance, okay, so the DC resistance of the main contact each pole of the circuit breaker is added the few tens of the micro ohms. Well, we have to should be check. So in between the lines, is the resistance is varying or not, that will be done. So if the welding of the contacts, if the open or not, okay, that will also test. So mechanical operation test. So in the mechanical operation test, okay, so what we'll do, so ensure the circuit breaker comply with the prescribed operation condition, that is which are given the so it can with if the indoor operation is there, so it will work or not. So outdoor application, so it work or not. So it, because what will happen, the indoor outdoor, okay, so the space that will be different for different circuit breaker. Okay, so that is the with the prescribed operating condition within the specified voltage and supply pressure. Okay, limits of these their operating closing devices. We will use the operating closing device that will use. So next, during the routine test of the 5 opening and 5 closing operation. Okay, so during the routine test, that the 5 operation, 5 closing. Okay, so operation should be carried out maximum supply voltage and pressure, minimum voltage supply and pressure. Next we'll having the another test. So how will be done the procedure of the circuit breaker test? Okay, so what are the tests we have? That the two different tests, there's the direct test, indirect test will done, right? So in this test, so what are the procedure to follow to make the circuit or break the circuit or short circuit generator or short circuit time? That is that. So first is the preliminary preparation of circuit breaker. So what are the considerations? That is the connect the equipments. Okay, so we have to connect the equipment to the line. Okay, with the into it line or not. Okay, so all are connected and that you have to check. So next the adjusting. Okay, so adjust the correct values of the resistance in case of the resistance of this current. So adjust the correct value of the relationship and the reactors. Okay, so reactors and we can know. Okay, so resistor reactors, okay, that will be done. So here the adjust, we have to adjust the equivalent, okay, correct values of the resistance and reactors to set the required magnitude of the short circuit. So we have to check is that the required output or not. Okay, that we have to check. So next connect and set the transmitter. Okay, so connect and set the transformer to get disordered transmission. Okay, so disordered that will be check whether variation or not. So next is the contacts or sequence of the switch will be adjusted got desired themes. So is there any whatever the predetermined so is working or not, that will be checked. That will be the calligraphs. So next method is the master circuit breaker. So master circuit is the backup hollow. Okay, so backup. So it is as a backup circuit breaker to interrupt the short circuit. So that is another, which will be if the testing done. So they have to protect the line from the other circuit. That is called as a master circuit breaker. Okay. So if the short circuit current is even of the circuit breaker is high, okay, fails to operate. So it has to capacity that circuit breaker under this test. So if the one is failure, so the fault current will flow through a line. So that we have to stop. That's called as the master circuit breaker. So after every test, okay, so after every test, it is isolate the test circuit breaker from supply. Okay, so that will be remove this circuit breaker. Okay, so testing circuit breaker removed from the supply source. So it is set up the operate and procedure the timing after the initiation of the circuit breaker. That is, so in the short time, so if the two lines is there are two circuit breaker. So if one is the perform the test, okay, so another is have to in the field, right? So that have to do. So we have to do the test different types of test on the same card. So next is the making switches. That is the making. So it is very high speed switch used for the initiation of the short circuit test. So that is you have to flow the short circuit current, right? So if you're using the nice switch or deep resistive switch, what happen? So we'll get the short, right? So that's why we have to using the making switch on the so short circuit test with the current at desired moment. So current at the desired moment. So here SFC gas, okay, SFC gas male switches are used the short circuit test. Okay, so SFC gas mainly testing of this type, that is a short circuit current control. So that will be done on this SFC gas, that will be very easy compared to the air blast and normal circuit breaker. So here if you take that is a reactor, so it is a connected in series with the line. Okay, it is the limit the control the magnitude of the short circuit. So the magnitude, we know the amplitude value. Okay, that is called the magnitude. So if the value are connected in series, for how to do the conduct magnitude short circuit current test will also under the same values. So next is the resistor characteristics. Okay, so resistors and capacitor characteristics of the circuit breaker. So here the TR shaping of the circuit breakers. So it is concerned across the circuit breaker test. So this circuit breaker used to control the transient recovery voltage. So this will be used to measure the voltage. Okay, so the how much voltage is the. So capacitor also used to measurement of voltage purpose. Okay, so next one is the measuring equipment. So which type of the measuring equipment using? Okay, so how which one is using the capacitor for the circuit breaker. So at the AC or DC is power supply. Okay, that will be done. So if the equipment properly maintained, so the fault current will also properly done. So for the measurement of the voltage, the voltage dividends are used. Okay, so voltage divider. So it will be divide the voltage and give the power supply to the one desired parts of the area, the circuit breaker which are connected in the line. Okay, so dividers are used and the current measurement stunts, okay, so are using parallelly connected to the short circuit. So CDs are also used for the short circuit testing of the circuit breaker. So both test, so while doing the one is the resistor and is the capacitor. So while do the TRV shaping resistor inductor, okay, so TRV shaping short circuit, that the R resistor used to connect across the circuit breaker before breaker under this test. So this will be testing circuit breaker. So another is the main circuit breaker that will be used. Okay, so this is about the testing of the circuit breaker.